Is it going? Hey, boys and girls, I'd like to introduce my mom, Mrs. Carolyn Palmer, and she's here today to talk to us about what it was like to go to a one-room schoolhouse when she was a little girl, like you guys are. Okay?
Hi, it's good to see all of you this morning. And when I was 1 year younger than you are now, I started to school in a one-room school. I was 5 years old, and because I lived in the country, I lived on a farm. That's the reason I went to a one-room school. If I had lived in town, I would have gone to a school in town, and that building would have looked very much like yours. But since I lived in the country, my school looked very much like this. I thought I had a picture of this.
This is microphone.
Oh, okay. I thought that I had a picture of my school, and somewhere over the years it's been lost or given away or something. But my school looked very much like this. And I walked to school. I lived probably took me about 20 or 25 minutes to walk to school. And because I lived in the country, then there were just gravel roads. There isn't now. It's a hard road like a highway. But then it was just a gravel road. There were no sidewalks, so I had to walk along on the edge of the road. And my school started at 9 o'clock in the morning, and I would leave home at 8:30 every morning. I had to be ready to leave it to walk at 8:30 because I didn't want to be late. I was scared to death of being late. And there weren't very many kids in my school. When I started to school, there were 5 of us, just 5, and I was the only girl. There were 4 boys, and they were in, let's see, one's in 3rd grade, one was in 5th, one was in 7th, and one was in 8th, because you went to country school all the way until you were ready for high school. So, because I was the only girl, when we went out for recess to play, the boys all liked to play ball, and I wasn't a very good softball player or baseball. I guess we had a baseball. I wasn't very good at that. So they always put me out in the last field because I wasn't very good and couldn't field the balls very well. I hardly ever got to pitch or bat. But anyway, that was what we did at recess. We did other things at recess also. Sometimes we played hide and seek, and we played blind man's buff. Some of you know how to play that. And sometimes we just sat and told stories and visited and did things like that. Our school, as I said, started at 9 o'clock in the morning, and we had recess in the morning. You don't have recess in the morning, do you? We had recess in the morning at 10:15, and then it was a 15-minute recess, and then we came in, and then we had classes until 12 o'clock. And at 12 o'clock, then we had our lunch, and we brought our lunch. Each person brought their lunch in a sack, and then we went back to our desks then to eat our lunch. And I'd usually take like a sandwich, or my mother, of course, would fix my lunch. I'd have a sandwich and maybe a cookie or 2 cookies and maybe an apple. And I don't think I took milk or anything like that. I can't remember. I think I just drank water. Which brings me to something else. Where do we get our water? We had no faucets, no wells. So in the morning, 2 of the older boys would take a bucket And they would go to the neighbors, which was probably about as far away as across the street and up a little ways, and bring back a pail of water. And there was then a big container that they put it in, and it had one of these things that you pushed at the bottom so the water would come out. But they put it in there, and then that's what we drink from during the day. And also at lunchtime, one person got to fix the basin with water in it where we washed our hands. And they didn't change the water in between. Everybody washed their hands in the same water. And because I was the youngest when I started to school, I got to wash my hands in the clean water. And of course, the longer you washed your hands, you know, the water got kind of gunky. But, you know, that's the way it was. And then our lunch hour, we had a whole hour from 12 to 1 for lunch. So we could eat. And as soon as everybody got through eating, we got to go outdoors and play again. Then we would come in at 1 and go out again, I think at 2 or 2:15 or something like that for 15 minutes, come back in, and then we had school right up until 4 o'clock. And then we'd all walk back home.
You did a lot of recesses.
Pardon me?
You got a lot of
We did have a lot of recesses, you're right. And I wanted to show you this picture. Looks a lot like my schoolhouse did. It was made of wood, was not made of stone or bricks or sod. It was made, and there was a flag. I think we had a flagpole though. And this was the duty of one of the older students, was every morning to put the flag out, you know how they run it up on the flagpole. And then at night, they take it, they have to take it down after, I mean not at night, but when school was over, then that was their duty to take down the flag and put it in. And the inside then of the building looked mine looked much like this one, except it didn't have near that many desks. As I said, we had only 5 people when I started out, but by the time maybe I was in 3rd or 4th grade, some other people moved into the area that could go to that school. So I think we had as many as 8. I think maybe we did have 10 desks though in the school, and they were different sizes. They had, you know, small ones for people like you when you started the school, and then bigger ones because the 8th grade, you know, an 8th grade boy can be pretty good size, so they had some bigger desks for them. And that was pretty much the way it looked on the inside. But I also wanted to tell you that this school had what they called a bell tower. You see that up on top? And I had a bell tower on my school, which meant it was a great big bell, and there was a rope that you pulled to make it ring. And the teacher always rang that big bell at 5 minutes till 9. So if you were walking to school and you heard that bell, you knew you still had 5 minutes, and you'd run then to get to school because nobody wanted to be late. They didn't punish you if you were late, but it would be on your report card. There was a little place where they put times tardy, and that meant how many times you were late. And nobody wanted to have a mark in there saying that they had been tardy or they had been late. Okay, we had no water in the school, as I told you. We had no electricity. And so on a day when maybe it was really cloudy or maybe kind of dark days, you know, and if there wasn't enough light, the teacher told us to close our books and put them away, and she'd go over and sit by the window and read to us until it got light enough then that we could see to read again. So we always kind of liked days when it was cloudy. At recess then, this would be the bell that they would use to bring sin. Do you use that bell? No, at all?
There's a bell in the building.
Just the bell in the building, yeah, so.
Well, we use the whistle for recess. We blow a
Whistle, a whistle, yeah.
And then there's a bell in
okay.
the building to tell them when it's time to start.
Yeah, okay, so no electricity and no bathroom. So, you know, what we did, we all went, I think I left that other book there. We had outhouses. There was a girls' outhouse and a boys' outhouse. And they had, we called them 3-holers. There were 3 holes so that 3 people could go to the bathroom at the same time if you were a girl. And okay, and there's what the outhouse looked like. There would be one for the girls, kind of at one corner of the schoolyard, and one for the boys, kind of at the other corner of the schoolyard. And if you wanted to go to the bathroom, or go to the outhouse during school, well, while school was in session, you put up one finger. And that meant you wanted to go outside to the outhouse, and the teacher would nod, and then you go. And the 2 people were not allowed to go at the same time, because then they could have been playing outdoors. So if 2 people wanted to go at the same time, one of you had to wait till the other one came back in. We had no Kleenex, no computers or headphones. We did have erasers, and for about the first 3 years, I was the only girl in the school. And then another family moved in, and there was another girl. And I liked that, because before that, I didn't have a girlfriend at all. And so, didn't have a best friend because there weren't any other girls. And the boys were, you know, they were just kind of buddies, and, you know, I just kind of tolerated them. And I also never had anyone in my class, you know, from 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th, clear up to there. I was the only person in my class. So I thought that I had to know the answers to all the questions. So when I got to be a freshman in high school, and then I had, you know, 20-something about like this in my class, the teacher would ask a question, and I would always raise my hand every time, because I thought I had to answer every question. I soon learned that it was kind of nice that other people had to have some of the answers too. And I talked to you about our desks, that they were different sizes, and we kept everything in our desk. I think you have cubbies or something, don't you? We kept everything that belonged to me or that I needed to use, I kept in my desk. And at lunchtime, I guess I told you about washing, that we all washed our hands in the same water. And we just had, of course, cold lunch, except in the winter. Now, if you remember in the picture, there was a picture of a pot-bellied stove, kind of like this. And the teacher is the one that had to start the stove every morning. It'd be cold. If it was a cold winter day, she'd have to start the fire and get it warm by the time that students got to school. But if it was that kind of weather where there was fire in the stove to keep the room warm, we could bring food from home in a little jar, and she had a pan of water that she set on top of the stove, and it'd be about that much water, and your jar, what you bring would maybe have, oh, let's say it would have chicken left from the night before, from your dinner the night before. You put it in, bring it, and she put it in the water, and so it'd be warm then, so you could have hot lunch that day. People didn't always do that, but sometimes they did. I also wanted to tell you that around our pot-bellied stove, there was kind of like a little fence around it about this far away from the stove. And this is so you didn't get close enough to get burned, because when that fire, this fire was burning in that stove, it was really, really hot. We didn't have like art, music, and gym. We didn't have specials, but we did have a piano in our classroom, and that was very unusual. Not very many schools had pianos, and if we had a teacher who could play the piano, then sometimes we would sit around on the floor and sing. And so that was kind of what our music was. If it was a teacher that couldn't play the piano, sometimes she had records that she'd play and things that we'd sing. We did have what we called art on Friday afternoon. That was the last thing. And all we did, we just had pencils and crayons. We didn't have anything else. And we'd draw something. A lot of times we'd have to draw birds, and then she'd put them up on the bulletin board. And my bird was always terrible because I couldn't draw very well. And I kind of wish that my bird wasn't up on the bulletin board, but it was. But I just kind of got used to the fact that I couldn't draw very well, but I bet a lot of you can draw really, really well. As I said, we did not have gym, so I guess maybe this is why we had more recesses. Maybe they wanted us to be able to run around a lot more and get our exercise. Well, by the time you got to 8th grade, you had to take a test to get into high school. And there was one place where everybody in the whole county, all the people from the one school, went to take a test. And it was in Cedar Rapids, and there was a big room that was called the superintendent's office. Like you have a superintendent of your schools here. Well, we had a superintendent that was for the whole county. And there was a day then when we were in 8th grade by the end of school where we all had to go and we had to take a test in math, and we had to take a test in reading, and we had to take a test in science, and we had to take a test in history or social studies. And that was kind of scary, but usually everybody passed. Somebody asked about field trips, and we didn't take field trips. In those days, we didn't have any school buses, for one thing, to take people. And even though we had maybe only 5 or 8, people would have taken, 2 or 3 parents in their cars. But we just didn't ever go have any special trips. The last day of school, we'd have a picnic. Sometimes it would be at one of the students' yards. But I remember 2 or 3 times we went to Cedar Rapids, and we went to Beaver Park. How many of you have been to Beaver Park and see, oh yeah, everybody's been to Beaver Park. And that was a real treat, because we didn't even get to go to Cedar Rapids all that much. We did have on Valentine's Day, though, there was another country school. It was probably when you drove to it, it'd probably take you about maybe 5 minutes to drive to this other country school. And so on Valentine's Day, we would take turns. One year, the kids in that school would come to our school and we'd have a Valentine's party. And then the next year, we'd go to their school and have a Valentine's party. And when you stop to think, we didn't go to a lot of, we didn't have movies. We didn't go to a lot of things for, to have special times. So this was really special for us to get to go to another school and have a Valentine's party. We did not have fractions until we got to 5th grade. How about that? And because when I started to school, I was in 1st grade, of course. We didn't have kindergarten, so I started right out in 1st grade. And in the morning, I would go first up for reading, and I'd go up. There was a bench by the teacher's desk, and that's where I'd sit and have my reading class, and then I'd come back and do my work at my desk while all of the others went up to have their class. And then next would be math, and I'd be the first to go to math, and then so on, so until all of the kids that had had their classes. We didn't wear jewelry to school, not because we couldn't, but probably we didn't even have any. But nobody wore bracelets. None of the girls wore bracelets or necklaces or ribbons in our hair. But one thing was good, we didn't ever have homework. I didn't even have homework when I was in 8th grade. We did our work at school, and that was it. Somebody asked if the outhouse stunk. Yes, it did. But there was something, there's something white, kind of powdery stuff that they call lime. And every now and then, one of the parents would come and they put lime down in the outhouse, so then it didn't smell so bad for a while. Somebody asked about my teachers' names, and I do remember them. One's name was Miss Wild. She wasn't wild, however. And Miss Lehman, and then Miss Bittner. And this was very unusual because Miss Bittner got married then while she was teaching at our school. And most teachers were not allowed to get married. If you were married, you didn't teach any longer. But she had to go and ask permission from, he was called the director. He was kind of like a school board member. And she had to ask him permission to be able to teach if she got married. And he said yes, she could. So she went ahead and got married. And that was unusual then, because then her name was Mrs. Thompson. And was she your teacher?
My kindergarten teacher.
Yeah,
Bonnie?
She was
Bonnie Thompson?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, she was my kindergarten teacher.
So she was my teacher, and then years later, she was Ms. Palmer's teacher.
Yeah.
And in 8th grade, we had a man for a teacher, Mr. Johnson. That was really unusual in a country school to have a one-room school. We didn't have conferences. Parents didn't have to come to school for conferences. We just had report cards, but if there was a problem, of course there was no telephone at the school, but at night, the teacher would call your mom or dad and talk to them. So, it was kind of like a conference, except it was just over the phone. And where did the teacher live? Well, usually the teacher didn't have a car. So there would be a family that lived fairly close to the school that would maybe have an extra bedroom. So she would stay with this family, and then she also would walk back and forth to school. And then there was one thing that I always enjoyed, and it sounds strange to you now, I know, but once during the year, you could invite the teacher to come to your house for dinner at night and to stay overnight and have breakfast the next morning and then go to school. And see, you could ask Miss Palmer to come to your house and stay overnight and then come back to school the next day. I don't think that'll happen. Somebody asked about switches, because I know in some of the things you talked about, or you studied that. So at our school, we didn't happen to have any switches. But if anybody misbehaved, the teacher just turned them over and he paddled them like that. And I can't remember, there was only one boy that I can ever remember that got paddled, and learning was kind of tricky for him, and he would get frustrated because learning was hard for him, and so he'd get angry sometimes and he'd poke other kids. And he really shouldn't have gotten paddled for that. He just should have had help with the schoolwork that was tricky for him. And after school, I would walk home again. And somebody asked what I did after school. I loved to read, and usually I read because I wasn't anybody to play with, so I didn't go outdoors and play very much. But then I'd help my mom get supper. We called it supper then. Somebody asked about bullies, and I guess maybe because we had a small school, I don't know. But we were lucky. We did not have any bullies at school. And I can't remember that there were even any arguments, which is unusual. And I don't remember that we ever even had any arguments. Somebody asked about pens. And at first I thought we didn't use them at all. I do remember now, 5th grade, we had ink pens. They were the kind that would, and then the pen point. And by the time you were in 5th grade, you could have an ink well in your desk. It was kind of like a hole and then a glass that was down there with the lid. You take the lid and you dip it in the ink, and then you could write just for special things. You still had to use pencils for all your regular schoolwork. Oh, and we had penmanship. I don't know for sure what you do with
We call it handwriting.
handwriting, right? And for handwriting, we had to do special things like we called them push-pulls. And we had to take our pencil and on the lined paper, we had just simply go up and down like this between the two lines. Oh, do a whole page of that. And what was that for? Well, you weren't supposed to just use your fingers like that. You were supposed to use your whole arm, and that was supposed to help you become a better writer. And then sometimes you went round and round and round like that. And I always thought that was pretty boring, but anyway, that was something that we had to do. And I don't think I have anything else that I wanted to talk to you about. Does anybody here have a question? Raise your hand if you have a question. Only if you have a question. Yes.
What are the names
What?
of the names?
Names of
The other kids?
the other kids? Oh my goodness, let me see. We had 2 boys named Don, and one named Clarence, and one named Raymond. And then when this other family moved in, and there was a girl, and her name was Marilyn. Okay. Yes.
Did you wear fancy clothes at all?
Did I what?
Did you wear like fancy clothes like dresses
I'm sorry, you have to say it a little bit louder. I can't hear soft voices. Can you say it louder,
and
please?
did you wear any fancy clothes?
Oh, to school. You know, we usually just had 2 outfits. We didn't have lots and lots of clothes. And we wore skirts, but then we wore long stockings and long underwear. We had long underwear that we wore, and we had to pull our long stockings clear up, and then we had garters that we fastened them to, and a skirt, and probably a sweater then. But usually we just had 2 outfits. You'd wear one day and the other the next day. Yes?
Did you have Star of the Week?
Did I what?
Have Star of the Week?
No, we did not. That was one thing I had written down here and I didn't. We did not have Star of the Week. Yes?
Did you have pets?
We have what?
Pets?
Pets.
At school or just at home?
At school.
No, we didn't have any pets.
But you had a pet at home, didn't you? Didn't you have a little
Yes, I
dog?
had a dog. I had a French poodle, was about that long. He was white, or she was white, and her name was Toodles. I got her when I was 8 years old, and I had her up until I was 22 when I got married, and then she got sick and died then, but I had her all that time, yes.
Did you have picture day?
Picture day.
No, we did not have picture day. Nobody came and took our pictures.
Did you have sharing?
Have what?
Sharing?
Sharing.
Sharing.
Like, could you take things for show and tell?
No, we had no show and tell. Yeah.
Did you do calendar?
No, didn't do calendars. Yes.
Do you remember how much friends you had?
How many friends? Well, since there were no girls, I really didn't have anybody that I played with, and then when the one family moved in with a girl named Marilyn, then she was my friend. And we didn't really go to each other's house after school. In the summer, 2 days in the summer, one day she'd come to my house and play, and one day I'd go to her house and play. Because it was, your parents had to take you, you couldn't just walk to somebody else's house in the country because it was too far away. Yes.
Did you have backpacks?
Have what?
Backpacks?
Backpacks, no. We didn't take anything to school. We didn't have to take stuff. Because, see, we didn't have homework or anything, show or tell or anything like that, yes.
Did you have name tags?
We didn't have name tags either, no. Yes.
Were you ever late?
No. I was scared to death I'd be late. Because I did not want on my report card where it said time starting, I didn't want a check mark there. Yes.
Do you know which desk how did you know which desk was yours?
Well, really, we didn't have any. We kept it in our desk.
How did you know which one was yours since you didn't have a name tag?
Oh, on the desk?
Yeah, is that what you mean, Marley? Yeah.
Oh, which desk was mine? Oh, I see.
You know.
Yeah. Well, there were only maybe 10 desks in the whole school, and so it was pretty. Usually, when I started to school, mine was the smallest, so it was clear up in front. And the older you got, the farther back you got. So, if there's only 10 desks, it's pretty easy to know. Yes.
Oh, did you have lockers?
No, we didn't have lockers. We had hooks along the wall, and we would just hang our coat there along the wall. Yes.
Did you have pencil boxes?
No pencil boxes. Yes.
Did you have agendas you write recipes
Yeah,
in?
no, and I think part of that was because there were so many different grade levels. What one grade, maybe by the time I got to third grade, what I'd have in third grade would be different than what somebody would have in eighth grade. Yes.
What did you write with?
I wrote
Pencil?
just a regular pencil with an eraser.
What about if all of your pencils were broken and your pen was?
What about that?
Your pen was.
They probably only had one pencil, didn't you?
Yeah, I just had one pencil. And we had a pencil sharpener. Yours did this or yours electric?
Well, we have both.
You have both, yeah. And we had a pencil sharpener that you did that. And you weren't supposed to sharpen it too much. If the teacher heard it going and going and going, she looked at you and you quit sharpening in a hurry.
Does that ever happen here? Where you sharpen too
Did
much?
you ever have,
And I look at you.
Here too long?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes. Then all of a
Sometimes.
sudden you don't have any pencil. You sharpened it all away.
Yeah.
Okay.
Listening.
Yes.
Do you have
Have what?
Do you have chapter books?
Chapter books.
Yes. Yes. And I don't know why, but I could read when I started to school. I can't remember learning to read. I just know I could read when I started to school. And I think maybe even in first grade, I think I was reading chapter books. Okay.
Did you have garbage cans?
No garbage cans. We had a wastebasket. I don't think we ever had the kind of thing you'd put in a,
I think she just means like that.
yeah, no, we said,
What was your wastebasket like?
Just a wastebasket.
Or did you just put it in the fire?
What was my wastebasket? I have no memory of what that wastebasket was like.
Maybe you didn't have anything to throw away.
Well,
You didn't have a lot of paper,
We
probably.
didn't have a lot of paper, so, it didn't get full very fast. Okay, who's not answered a question yet?
Did you have scissors?
Yes, we did have scissors. Blunt. Now, somebody else that has not asked a question.
Yeah. Sticks.
Have what?
Glue sticks.
Glue sticks.
No glue sticks. We had paste, white paste. Somebody else that's not asked one. Okay.
Did you have markers?
Have what?
Markers?
No markers. That was before the days of markers. Yes.
Did you have crayons?
Crayons, we had crayons. Crayons, yeah. Yes.
Did you have any swimming pools?
Mhm.
No swimming pools. No swimming pools. I
But
don't
you had
think
a-
Beaver Park even had a swimming pool then.
Did you go to the creek ever and go swimming? To the creek?
Yes, we had a creek that went through our farm. You
And
could
it
walk
still
down the
does?
creek and wade in. You couldn't really swim, it wasn't deep enough, but you could wade in it and you'd come back and you'd be all muddy and you'd have to, wash off your feet. I think your teacher has done that too. I think she has walked in that creek.
Yes, I have. We used to go wading.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd probably hose your feet before I let you in the
Mhm.
house. Yes.
Was there any colored pencils?
No. Oh, the teacher, I think, had a red pencil. And she marked if you had a math problem wrong. I think
Yes.
she had a red pencil, but we didn't ever get that.
Yes.
I have Rayanne's bag at the office.
Thank you. Okay, one more question.
Yes.
Did you have a whiteboard?
Have what?
A whiteboard?
A whiteboard like
We had a
that.
blackboard. It was made from slate, and there may be pictures. Yes.
Tell them how old you were when you went to high school and when you graduated from high school.
Oh, I was 12 when I went to high school, and I was 16 when I graduated from high school, which is really kind of young, but that was partly because I went to country school and I didn't have kindergarten. And because I was the only one in my class, I could just go at any speed, that the teacher wanted me to. And sometimes it'd be like in March, I'd be let's say third grade. I'd be all the way through the third grade books. So they'd have my parents go to the superintendent's office where we took our test later and get the books for fourth grade. And in March, I'd just start in on fourth grade. And that was one of the reasons that I went to high school. But I would not recommend that, though. I don't think that's real good. Trying to think what was I looking for?
The blackboard?
Oh, yeah. There was one of the pictures, I think, that had it. Here, this. But our blackboard went all the way across the front of the room. And sometimes that's where we do our math. But the teacher would send us up there to do maybe 4 math problems, something like that.
Okay, what do we tell Mrs. Palmer for coming today?
Thank you.
Shall we give her a round of applause? Let's give her a round of applause.
And thank you for being such good listeners and for having such